As above, so below. As within, so without. As the universe, so the soul. These are not metaphors. They are not poetry. They are laws. Laws older than physics. Laws that govern meaning, not motion. The Hermetic mirror is not a glass. It is a principle. A law of reflection that says, what is happening above you is happening within you. What is happening in spirit echoes in matter. The seen is shaped by the unseen. The form reveals the formless. This is the secret that birthed entire civilizations, not through religion, but through alignment. Because once you understand the mirror, you understand that every experience, every structure, every system is a shadow of something deeper. You are not separate from the stars. They live in you, not metaphorically, but structurally. The same laws that govern celestial motion govern your breath, your cycles, your consciousness. The Hermeticists knew this. They did not study the stars to escape the earth. They studied the stars to understand the self. Because the cosmos is not out there, it is folded inward, reflected through layer upon layer of form. Everything mirrors everything. Asterisk, a spiral galaxy and a seashell. Asterisk, the orbit of a planet and the curve of your spine. Asterisk, the moon's pull on tides and your shifting emotions. Asterisk, the turning of seasons and your own evolution. Nothing is random, nothing is separate. The mystery lies in pattern. To see the pattern is to see the mirror. To see the mirror is to see yourself in all things. The Hermetic mirror tells us, heaven and earth are not enemies, they are lovers. They meet through you. You are the place where above kisses below, where silence becomes sound, where spirit becomes skin. You are the middle point, the bridge, the flame that reflects both shadow and star. And yet we were taught to forget, taught that matter is profane, that the divine is somewhere else, that the sacred is only above and never here. But the mirror never broke, only our gaze turned away. The alchemist, the initiate, the seeker, they do not look upward in worship, they look inward in remembrance. They use the mirror not to admire, but to reconstruct, to dissolve the illusion of separation, to unify the levels, to live not between above and below, but as the place where they touch. Every symbol reflects this truth. The cross, the tree, the spiral, the vesica piscis, each one shows union, intersection, duality made whole. So when you see a reflection in your life, a repetition, a symbol, a synchronicity, pay attention. It is not coincidence, it is communication. The mirror is speaking. It speaks in silence, in shadow, in dreams, in geometry, in heartbreak, in the rhythm of breath. And when you finally see the mirror for what it is, you stop chasing meaning, because you realize everything already means something. You are surrounded by messages. You are one. As above, so below is not a truth to believe. It is a mirror to become. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. This is not philosophy, it is structure. The ancients knew the human being is not a visitor to the cosmos, but its mirror, its echo, its seed. The planets orbit, so do your thoughts. The stars burn, so does your desire. Solar flares erupt just as emotion floods your chest. Lunar tides pull the ocean just as your inner tides shift with the moon. Above and below, outside and inside. It is the same pulse, the same breath, playing itself at different scales. You have 7 chakras. 7 classical planets, 7 musical tones, 7 days, 7 gates in ancient initiations. Why? Because the structure repeats, because you are fractal. The Hermeticists called you the microcosm, the small world that reflects the great. You are a star system wrapped in skin, an organism shaped like a spiral galaxy, a field of energy wrapped in the illusion of solidity. Your bones echo mountains, your blood echoes rivers, your spine echoes the tree of life, your breath is the breath of the world. This is why true initiation doesn't happen in the heavens. It happens in your body, in your breath, in your stillness. Because to align with the cosmos, you must first align with your own orbit. The ancients studied astrology not to predict events but to read the inner sky. Each planet an archetype, each movement a mirror. Not cause and effect, but resonance. What the stars reflect, you already feel. So when Mercury retrogrades, you notice miscommunication. When the moon is full, your dreams grow wild. When Venus shines bright, you feel the pull of beauty and connection. Not because the planets control you, but because you are tuned to their song. You are not separate from the celestial. You are composed of it. Even your atoms were once inside stars. You are stardust remembering itself, a universe becoming aware through human form. To look up at the sky is to look into your own soul. That's why it moves you, why it quiets your mind, why something ancient stirs when you see Saturn or feel the silence between stars. It's not wonder, it's recognition. You are not lost in the cosmos. You are the cosmos, localized in time and skin for a brief sacred moment. And in that moment you can reflect the whole. As above, so below, not a metaphor, a living map. You were not given a body, you were given a temple, not as a metaphor, but as a living sanctuary of the divine, a structure, a design, a cosmic echo encoded into flesh and breath and bone. The ancients did not separate the physical from the spiritual. They saw the body as sacred architecture. The Egyptians modeled temples on the human form. The Hindus described chakras rising along the spine like lotuses blooming toward heaven. The Hermeticists knew the temple of God is within, and that temple is you. The head as the dome, the spine as the sacred axis, the heart as the inner chamber, the breath as the sacred wind. You are not walking through sacred space. You are sacred space, walking. The spine rises like a pillar, a living jade, a central axis just like the world tree, the Sushumna Nadi, or the staff of Hermes. It is the bridge between heaven and earth, between root and crown, between the below and the above. At its base, survival. At its crown, divinity. And every point in between is a station of transformation. You are not here to escape the body. You are here to wake it up. The chakras are not energy centers in theory. They are geometries of consciousness, nested in the nervous system. Each governs a layer of reality. Asterisk. The root grounds you in matter. Asterisk. The sacral moves you into emotion. Asterisk. The solar plexus burns into will. Asterisk. The heart opens into unity. Asterisk. The throat expresses truth. Asterisk. The third eye unveils perception. Asterisk. The crown dissolves you into silence. You don't ascend by leaving the body. You ascend by inhabiting it fully. Even the breath is sacred ritual. Inhale, spirit enters. Exhale, offering back to the world. This is why many initiations began with breath, posture, stillness. Because when you still the outer motion, the inner temple begins to speak. The hands used for blessing, the feet for grounding, the eyes for seeing through illusion, the skin as boundary and bridge. Everything designed for awareness, everything designed for reflection. The more you become aware of your body, the more it reveals its sacred structure. Not just anatomy, but symbology. The lungs branch like trees, the veins flow like rivers, the mind moves like stars scattering, collapsing, igniting. You are cosmic terrain folded into a single form. To care for the body is not vanity, it is reverence. You wash it like sacred vessels. You nourish it like a fire. You listen like a priest at the altar. Because the soul is not imprisoned in flesh, it is expressed through it. The greatest heresy in the modern world is the belief that spirit and matter are separate. That to be divine is to leave the body. That to be wise is to ignore it. But the mystery whispers, the temple was never made of stone. It walks, it breathes, it feels. You don't need to climb a mountain to find God. You only need to be still inside your spine, to close your eyes and descend into the heart, to listen and remember. You were always sacred. You were always whole. You were always home. As above, so below. As in the heavens, so in your hands. The great work was never about gold. It was about you. Alchemy is often misunderstood, seen as a failed science, as a superstition. But true alchemy was never about the laboratory. It was about the soul. A spiritual science, a map of transformation, a code hidden behind symbols and cloaked in metaphor to protect the flame from unready hands. The alchemist's true goal was not wealth, it was wholeness. To unify above and below, to reconcile heaven and earth, to become the mirror in which opposites dissolve. The Hermetic mirror is the heart of this great work. The alchemist learns, you cannot rise unless you first descend. You cannot purify unless you first decay. You cannot become light without embracing the lead of your being. Lead, the heavy, the stuck, the shadow, the below. It must be brought into the fire, not to be rejected, but to be refined. This is Negredo, the blackening, the beginning of the work, the breakdown, the inner death. All must pass through it. Every illusion burned, every false self stripped, every attachment shattered. The ego cries, the identity collapses, but the soul watches and waits. Then comes albedo, the whitening, the clearing, the stillness, the purification of essence. Truth begins to shine through the ash. Silence becomes a teacher. The soul breathes freely. You begin to feel what you always were beneath the noise. And finally, rubedo, the reddening, the completion, the marriage of opposites. Above and below joined in one flame. Heaven and earth, not in conflict, but in communion. This is the sacred union, the conjunctio, the inner wedding of fire and water, spirit and matter, soul and body. This is the philosopher's stone, not a thing, but a state. A way of being where everything you touch becomes sacred because you've become the flame. To live the great work is to live as the bridge. You stop dividing the world. You stop climbing toward heaven or escaping the flesh. Instead, you bring the light down. You let the divine fill your hands, your walk, your voice. You turn your life into a laboratory of conscious presence. Every heartbreak becomes a crucible, every choice a refinement, every breath an offering. You do not become pure by avoiding the world. You become pure by loving it without losing yourself. This is the Hermetic way. To hold both poles, to stand in the center, to transmute through awareness, not to escape the world, but to illuminate it from within. And this is the real alchemy. Not to change things, but to see them as they already are. Divine, reflected, whole, as above, so below. As the stars burn above, you begin to burn within. You were never divided. You were only dreaming that you were. There is no real gap between spirit and matter, between God and body, between soul and skin. But humanity forgot. We forgot because we were taught to forget, taught that the divine is up there and the mundane is down here, that heaven is above the clouds and earth is a place to escape. But the Hermetic mirror never lied, it only waited. Because separation is the final illusion, and seeing through it is the beginning of return. The illusion was never in reality. It was in perception. We forgot that everything reflects, that what we push away comes back, that what we condemn we carry, that what we deny in others reveals our own shadow. We split life into fragments. Asterisk sacred and profane. Asterisk light and dark. Asterisk soul and flesh. Asterisk heaven and earth. Asterisk above and below. But the mystery was never in either. It was in their union. The Hermetic teachings don't say, as above against below. They say, as above, so below. Meaning, they are one rhythm, one thread looped across dimensions, one mind wearing different masks. When you see only spirit, you float. When you see only matter, you sink. But when you see both, you center. You become the flame between opposites, the point where breath and silence meet. The soul is not here to escape the world. It is here to illuminate it. Your body is not a burden. It is a mirror. Your mind is not a trap. It is a tool. And your shadow is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you where you've forgotten your own light. This is why inner work matters, not to fix you, but to reveal that you were never broken. Only divided in your perception, only taught to believe that your pain was a flaw rather than a signal pointing back to wholeness. When you begin to see the mirror, you stop reacting, you start observing, you recognize every moment as an echo of yourself, even the painful ones, especially those, because they reveal the places where you still believe you're separate. The more you look, the more the mirror dissolves the veil. And what remains is not God above you, not spirit beyond you, but consciousness through you, living as you, returning to itself. No dogma, no religion, no escape, just stillness, clarity, presence. And this is what the mystery has always waited for. Not belief, but direct seeing. Seeing through the illusion and remembering the truth that never changed. There is no separation, only degrees of awareness, only layers of reflection, only the mirror waiting to be looked into. As above, so below, not because they mirror each other, but because they were never truly apart. Some shapes don't speak to the mind, they speak to the soul. The Hermetic world was made of symbols. Not signs, not codes to be cracked, but living portals, gateways that open between realms. Each symbol was a mirror that didn't reflect the world but the structure of consciousness itself. In Hermetic thought, a true symbol is more than an image. It is a doorway. When contemplated, it alters you, not because you understand it, but because it aligns something within. It bypasses language. It bypasses logic. It moves through resonance. Think of it like this. A symbol is to the soul what a melody is to the heart. You don't need to explain it, you feel it. You are changed by it, without knowing how. This is why the ancients surrounded themselves with sacred geometry, not for decoration, but for activation. They carved it into temples, etched it into stone, wove it into rituals, painted it on the skin of initiates. Because they understood, form is function, shape carries spirit. The circle, the triangle, the square, the pentagram, the vesica piscis, the ouroboros, the spiral. Each one is a container of forces. Each one invites you into alignment. The circle teaches wholeness. The triangle teaches balance. The square teaches grounding. The spiral teaches becoming. The ouroboros teaches return. None of these truths can be fully spoken. They can only be lived through reflection, meditation, embodiment. And then there are compound symbols. The Ankh, the tree of life, the caduceus, the eye of Horus. Each one is multi-layered, bridging myth, biology, psychology, and cosmology. Each one says, as above, so below, as within, so without, as symbol, so soul. But the modern world has forgotten this language. We treat symbols as superstition or as shallow aesthetics. We see without seeing. We pass portals without walking through them. Yet symbols remain, waiting, everywhere. They live in dreams, in architecture, in movement, in nature, in the shape of rivers, in the spiraling of galaxies, in the curves of your own DNA. The Hermetic path is not about collecting symbols. It is about becoming one. To live as a symbol is to become a point of reflection, to carry meaning with presence, to speak not just in words, but in vibration. This is why the mystery schools taught through initiation, because you cannot explain a symbol into someone. You can only lead them into silence and let the symbol speak for itself. Your life is already filled with symbols. The events you repeat, the people you attract, the pain you carry, the joy you don't trust. Each moment is not random. It is reflective. You are already inside the temple, already surrounded by sacred signs. You don't need new symbols. You need new eyes. To walk the Hermetic path is to walk in a world of mirrors, where everything points to something deeper. To learn the symbolic language of the soul is to finally remember how to read the world. At first, you look into the mirror. Then, you realize you are the mirror. This is the culmination of the Hermetic path. Not to understand, not to master, but to become. To stop seeking the pattern outside and begin living as the pattern itself. You are no longer just the observer. You are the reflection. You are the place where heaven and earth meet, where thought touches form, where silence becomes sound. To become the mirror is not to become perfect. It is to become transparent. To hold what arises without distortion, without denial, without clinging. To allow what is above to flow through what is below, unfiltered by fear. You become the bridge, the channel, the vessel, not as a role, but as a way of being. Your breath carries intention. Your presence becomes alignment. Your gaze reflects truth without needing to explain. You walk through the world no longer needing to fix it, because you now see everything is already reflecting something deeper. Even chaos, even sorrow, especially those. Becoming the mirror means seeing life as ritual, your thoughts as ingredients, your actions as offerings, your body as an altar. Not because you've joined a mystery school, but because you've remembered you were always inside one. The outer temple may be gone, but the inner temple walks, breathes, notices, responds. This is where the work becomes subtle. You no longer react, you reflect. You no longer chase light, you reveal it. You see through masks without needing to tear them off. You hold space without needing to speak. You mirror wholeness simply by being whole within. And now, the phrase, "as above, so below," is no longer a mystery. It is your pulse. It lives in the way you move, the way you speak, the way you sit in stillness. You realize, the sky doesn't end at the clouds. It lives in your breath. The stars don't burn out there, they burn in here. Becoming the mirror is becoming empty enough to reflect the all without resistance. To embody the Hermetic mirror is to become the language of the divine, not a speaker of it, but the living shape of its utterance. This is the final lesson. You were never just the student. You were always the symbol, always the flame, always the eye that reflects the world into awareness. You are not looking through the mirror anymore. You are looking from within it. As above, so below. As within, so without. As you are now, so becomes the world.